All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. Our guest tonight holds the impressive distinction of being one of a select group of individuals who has not only climbed, but reached the summit of Mount Everest. And how does he follow up that glorious achievement? He appears right here with us on Wicked Late. Ouch. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to our show the one, the only Dr. Tim Warren. Dr. Tim, how are you, sir?
Brennan, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you again. It's hard to believe it was September 2008. We're coming up on like 2.5 years, nearly 3 years since you last graced that very guest chair. So thank you for returning, and I believe we have a still image maybe of that first there, me when I stole your climbing suit. Is that what you call it?
I'm still offended. It's a Michelin man suit.
Whatever.
Yellow burqa.
It was very heavy, that's what I recall. But anyway, it's great to see you again. And now, last time you were here, obviously people obviously they know who you are by now. You not only climbed, but you reached the summit of Mount Everest. And we were just talking about this, about how many people since 1953 have actually achieved this feat?
2,500 different people, individual people, but there's some people like the Sherpas and some of the people who are professional guides who have climbed it more than once. So there's about 4,000 total summits since 1953.
Now, refresh our memories a little bit. Why did you decide to do this? I mean, are you mentally well? Are you stable, Dr. Tim?
I wanted to go from the D list to the C list of Rhode Island celebrities.
Thank you, I think. But anyway, so tell us about why, you were speaking of yourself.
I was. Wow. Inferiority complex, Brendan?
Just a little bit. So what, precipitated your desire to sort of, or want to sort of do this? Have you'd always been interested in sort of the outdoors?
Always been an athlete, always been an endurance type athlete, but my parents got me into climbing at a very early age, and then about 15 years ago I took it to the next level and started to learn and become more of a mountaineer, go to exotic locales, learn what I could learn there, and just went higher and higher. No. Never thinking I had the stuff for Everest until I was on the top of Mount Denali in Alaska, the highest mountain in North America. And then I got the juice and thought that if I learned a few more lessons, I might have a shot. And it turned out I was lucky, and I did.
Now, I don't, want to, make this segment turn into, I don't want to make this a downer as I search for the appropriate words, but haven't people died trying to reach the summit of Mount Everest?
Many.
So that didn't matter to you? You just wanted to do it?
It mattered, and in some distant reaches of my mind, I knew there was a chance that I might not come back. But I was pretty confident in my abilities to make good decisions. Hence the year in 2007 when I went and it wasn't right. I was sick. I just turned around and went home. Right. So I can make good decisions, but sometimes you can do everything right and still get killed. An average of 6 or 7 climbers every year try to get to the top and don't make it back home. Oh my God. So now, I knew that was a chance. There's a tremendous amount of preparation that goes into this. I remember you telling me, don't you have to get acclimated to the different levels, sea levels and stuff, because it affects your breathing drastically. So talk to us about the preparation involved in the ascent. Once you get there, it just takes 12 days just to hike to get into base camp, because you're going to 17,000 feet. And in Rhode Island, we have 100% oxygen saturation because we're so close to the ocean. Right. But at 17,000 feet, there's exactly 1/2 the oxygen. So if we were magically transported there, we'd be dead in 3 hours unless we would take time and get acclimatized. Right. Our brains would explode, our lungs would explode. Literally. Literally. You're not kidding around. Like this would happen. No, this happens. And, and then on the summit of Everest, there's 1/3 of the oxygen. So it's a very slow 2.5-month process to begin the climb, leave Rhode Island, and hopefully get to the top when the weather clears in late May. So when you finally get there and you're at the mountain and stuff, you've just got to be tremendously nervous. I mean, I'm urinating right now just thinking about it. But what is the thought process mentally? What are you thinking when you're in the midst of this? Well, it was one of the lessons that I learned from 2007. My mind was not a friend. I was really, when you're alone in your tent at night, you're thinking about all the things that can go wrong. Right. So the lesson that I took from that was I had to make my mind an asset rather than an enemy. So I constantly used affirmations, a technique of just focusing good, positive thoughts into my software of my brain. And I did every night. I worked on that. I wrote, and I stayed very, very right on with my mental focus. And that really does play a vital role to the success. I mean, you could say mental this, mental that, but you just have to be in the right frame of mind. You can't make a mistake. One mistake is fatal, so you have to be focused all the time. So, it worked out. I was lucky because 10,000 things can go wrong in a climb, and it just worked out for me that second year. It was fantastic. One time I accidentally locked my keys in the car. Yeah. I know a little
thing or two about
You know
our
how that
experiences. But talk to us what you've been doing since you've been back from climbing Mount Everest. I know you do a lot of speaking engagements. You kind of talk to people. What do these engagements involve? I know you do a lot of motivational stuff. Like how have people responded to what you've done, and what are you looking to do now going forward? Well,
I do a lot of business groups. I have a couple of main talks that the business people really like. One on goal setting and one on leadership. Using Mount Everest as a metaphor. And people aren't going to climb Mount Everest,
right?
Except for the crazy knuckleheads, But everybody has a big problem, a big goal, or just wants to edge closer to their human potential. So that really is inspiring to me to help inspire other people.
Using that as a metaphor.
Exactly. But my favorite thing is speaking in schools.
Sure.
Just this past 2 days ago, I spoke to 300 7th graders. Talk about fear.
Yeah.
In Ferry Middle School in Johnston. But they have me come back every year.
Right.
It's really great, and they listen attentively. And if I can just, influence one or two of them with a little bit of, juice to kind of accomplish whatever their Everest is in their life, then that's tremendously rewarding.
You must get some interesting questions from the kids about.
There's the similar ones are, how do you go to the bathroom?
Right.
That's
the next one on the list.
Adults, everybody from the bottom. So
How do you go to the bathroom?
Well, sometimes you have to be roped up because you can fall off the mountain at any time. And there's been deaths on Everest from people who didn't have a rope on them when they were going to the bathroom and fell 3,000 feet and died. Pretty embarrassing epitaph.
Yeah, I would think so.
But you just have to you just have to be careful and focused, and it's
like I do when I'm in my bathroom at home.
Exactly. Careful and focused.
Now, you've written a book about your experiences as well, Lessons from Everest. And is that more of just like the same sort of motivational stuff, talking about, how you came to make the decision to do it and subsequently what you're doing now? Is it just sort of continued motivation?
The first chapter was just how I arrived at the goal and the mission to climb Everest. And my mission was to climb Everest and safely return. It wasn't just to get to the top, because people die on the way down. So it was get back.
It's not like there's a chopper waiting at the top.
No choppers, And the second thing was just, you got to do the hard work. It's all nice and to have a goal and a big dream, but if you don't do the work, it's not happening.
Right.
And then 3 is enjoy the ride, enjoy life. You've got to enjoy life along the road. If you put everything into your mission to the exclusion of friends and family and your enjoyment, and that's not success.
Right.
So, and then hope came into play, and I tell little stories about how I came up with these, and then thankfulness. I mean, the chapter title is "Thank Your Way to the Top."
Right.
Can't forget to thank people that helped you out along the way.
Now, are you going to do it again, or will you continue your climbing career, maybe on a lower, lesser level, or
a lesser level? I'm not going to go back to the big death killer, horrified, frozen body stuff, for that. But I am going to complete the 7 summits of the world, which is the highest mountain in each continent.
Wow.
I've done 4 of the 7 summits, and I've done the hardest, quote, the hardest ones. Wow. So you can't take your eye off the ball for the last 3. But they're not the level of difficulty of the ones that I've already done.
Very good. And where can folks learn more about you and learn more about the book?
Website, drtimwarren.com, lessonsfromeverest.com. The book's available anywhere. You can order it any place you buy books.
Very good. Well, it's great seeing you again, and thank you once again for refreshing everyone's memories about your story. It's just a tremendous accomplishment, and it's great seeing you again, and I can't thank you enough for your time.
Brendan, thanks so much.
Continued inspiration, Dr. Tim Warren, everybody. We'll be right back after this.